Wow, exactly 60 minutes to the second. You're so creative, you fucking homo. Keep staring at me out that window. It's all good. So, I'm pretty sure this will be the B report. Hold on.
In Canada. Contact employment lawyer Lior Samphir.
Oh, that's useless. The secondary, this was the first one of the hour, but it's secondary business report.
Now the business report. On Richard Southern, food prices are expected to continue to rise in the new.
Not a real story. That's advertising from Rogers Media, who's hand in hand with the Galen Weston Loblaws Properties Limited East and West. Remember, Rogers has a swastika for a logo. Loblaws admitted to running a cartel for 15 years, but because they admitted it, they're the only company that can get punished. So what we have going on here, we have exceeded our COVID modeling. Oh, you putz, so you can hear us. Now you're angry. You're going to start pinging. That's great. Yeah, I cussed you out from here. You saw that. You heard that. You had to pop up on your computer, and now you're going to, that's great. That's great. But you're not a hacker. You're a child molester, but you're not a hacker. You're a pedophile, but you're not a hacker. Okay? And by the way, CSE, Canadian Security Establishment, CESC, whatever the fuck you call yourselves, every time you do what you do, all my boys start crank calling the police stations and government offices and shit. All of them. Pay phones, burner phones. We don't give a fuck. Every time you do that to one of us, right, multiples. So we've exceeded our COVID modeling numbers by 200%. So whatever the date was it the 6th, 7th, the 14th, something like that? They told us Omicron is going to be like this and like that. They said by the end of December, we would have between 6,000 and 10,000 cases, and we had under 800, whatever it was back then. We've got to 18,445 cases being reported. The government and the media are telling us that they are underreported. They will no longer be testing people. They will no longer be reporting cases connected to schools. They will no longer be testing most people ever. And by the way, you pigs really remind me of bed bugs. You get so angry that I'm not food that you bite me 30 more times and choke to death of my blood. That's how creative you pedophiles are.
Like Toro, Western,
I know I could throw them into the oven, but I'm not going to because I eat
Pick
that.
what you need and we'll ship it right to your door.
Need a part? Put a part in your cart. Online at koibros.com.
KOOYBROS.com.
Bellring's Boxing Day sale continues with savings of up to 80% off. With one huge warehouse location at 95 Orvis Road, Toronto. It's the greatest sale of the year. Save on all
And here at the 30-minute mark when they're required to do their beep, instead they're running ads.
Don't miss the European
Do not
Food
click on
Market
this link.
with
This is
amazing
another child
activities.
molester, I guarantee it.
Sunday, January 2nd from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m.
Never mind.
Bellring's,
So
always beautiful, always affordable.
I did find a way to get the internet radio working. You see the
Number one for breaking news,
can't quite see
traffic, and
virus.
This is City News 680.
Oh, and these bastards, since they know we haven't been doing these videos, they're babbling like they've broken English completely.
January 1st. Good
January.
evening, Juana Turner. Here's what's making news this hour. Grab the snow gear if you're heading out tonight. A winter weather travel advisory has been issued for the GTA and other areas of southern Ontario. Many Ontarians are celebrating the new year with a $15 per hour pay bump, but the CFIB says it couldn't have come at a worse time.
Are you retarded? No, it's not.
Are the province's new COVID-19
You
testing
fucked
and
it up.
tracing rules ill-advised? While one doctor says the guidelines should be concerning for parents who are getting set to send their kids back to school.
You are fucking stupid. I said it's not a bump because a bump goes up and then down. Oh, it's not a 45-cent bump. It's a $15 an hour bump.
At 45.
You're an idiot.
And coming up in business, 2/3 of Canadians are ready to leave their jobs. That's
I
the
did this
highest
on
number
purpose.
ever in the annual salary guide from a recruitment and human resources firm.
I can choose my own salary.
City News East time, 9:31. Time for traffic and weather together on the ones with a look at your drive. Here's Colette Desjardins.
And the flurries continue. The light snow continues to fall. But so far, all the major
do you see what they just did? They stopped pretending they could speak French. Now they're purposely mutilating the name. Why? Because white people think everyone gets offended when you mispronounce their name. Doesn't everybody know how to say my name?
Everything is lightly traveled.
And the bitch is a fucking race trader.
We've got that long-term construction. King Street shut down both ways between Ronsonville and Wilson Park.
Ronsonville. Type Ronsonville into a computer. You won't find the fucking street.
Get it
Jesus.
today at TSC.
I fucking get so sick of this shit.
Let's shop better.
No, over the last hour, because all these assholes work together. Every comment I've made, they've made worse fucking butcherings of everything.
The snow that we're seeing tonight is going to continue through the overnight. We do have a winter weather travel advisory in place from Environment Canada talking about very hazardous driving conditions on very slippery surfaces. Our temperatures are going to be dropping, going down to a low of -5, but feeling more like -11. So that gives you a good indication of how everything could freeze really quickly. Tomorrow, snow ending early in the afternoon and cloudy.
Not exactly.
2 to 4 centimeters is
because you didn't tell us the wind speed and the humidity.
And that wind
so what?
Going to make us
this tells you that. No, it doesn't. The information you just gave us doesn't tell us what you said it does.
In downtown Toronto, we're seeing some snow, 1 degree, feeling like -5. Over at Pearson Airport, similar conditions, -1 degree, feeling like -7. City News time, 9:33. Hopefully your plans tonight involve curling up on the couch with a good book or some other indoor activity. Environment Canada
so we can tell you stuff.
Weather travel advisory for much of southern
the
Ontario,
worst out in the world.
The GTA, and we're already seeing some light snow. Cities
just remember, she works for a company with a swastika as a logo and pretends to be the same type of racist as white people are.
Precipitation over to snow.
That's pathetic.
Pressure system skirting just south
and the world's full of people like that. It ain't just her personally. The world's full of assholes like that.
Some uncertainty on the exact track of this storm, and that will affect how much snow we pick up.
This area of low pressure that stays a little bit further to our south, our resulting snowfall amounts will certainly be less, but as it stands right now, 5 to 10 centimeters on the way through much of the GTA.
And roads are expected to be especially slick due to the temperature drop, freezing any residual moisture from earlier drizzle. Wind will also be a concern, with gusts 40 to 60 kilometers an hour, further reducing visibility. The system looks to track out of southern Ontario Sunday afternoon.
So there's a stolen car fist fight in a parking garage.
We're looking at a daytime high of just -5.
The Quebec curfew story is changing.
City News.
City News time, 9:34. Starting the year on a high note, some workers will see an increase in their paychecks.
Now, they're not going to tell you about the other 6 categories of workers.
Takes effect. Premier Doug Ford called the move a great start when he made the announcement in November, but not everyone agrees. City's Rianne Campbell has the latest from the Canadian Federation of Independent Businesses.
General minimum wage workers will now earn
when the cops say whose streets are streets, WSZOSZ. You guys are stupid.
Rate of $14.35. Julie Kwasinski, Director of Provincial Affairs for the CFIB, says this hike is particularly difficult for the restaurant industry, whose liquor servers' wage jumps another $2.45 per hour.
To what?
It means
to what?
An
not 15.
Whopping 20% increase to
no,
the
it's
liquor
not.
servers' wage.
No, it's not, because you have to pay the tax deductions on top of that. The employer pays the same tax deductions you do, so it's 100 and whatever percent. It's not 100%.
67,000 workers in Ontario.
We're not going to talk about that.
Below minimum wage.
You know what they just said? Working at or below minimum wage. Hold on. How many workers are working below minimum wage? So they just said 700,000 people. Out of 15 million people, only 700,000 are making minimum wage. That's a fucking lie.
Reports COVID-19 data. Some school boards are creating their own plans to track cases in the classroom.
What's the matter, pussy? You keep logging off to go back to your kitty corn terminal to harass us or what?
New guidelines
are now in place for those who
think they've contracted COVID-19. Most Ontarians are now being asked to isolate at home for 5 days. Only those who are vulnerable or who live or work in high-risk settings.
What use is isolating for 5 days? Just explain it. Explain it.
The Ministry of Education will also no no longer be
You got
collecting
people running around
COVID-19
here
case
screaming at
numbers
me
for
that, oh,
schools.
I'm vaccinated, I'm no risk to you.
The school board currently reevaluating how to keep parents best informed about what's happening inside their child's school. The NDP
The people giving out these vaccines aren't wearing gloves. They're not washing their hands. They're doing this outdoors with no roof, no hand sanitizer, no gloves, no soap and water, nothing.
For City News, I'm Lee.
And they're telling people, yeah, you're safe to go around the immunocompromised now. Go spit on an HIV patient's face.
Reporting another single day high of 18,445.
No, it was
However,
over.
since the provincial
It is
government
over. You're not
recently
supposed to
began
correct
focusing
it.
its limited testing supply on most vulnerable areas, it says this number is an underestimate. Toronto is responsible for a quarter of the new cases with a little more than 4,700. Another 12 Ontarians have died in the past 24 hours. No word on hospitalizations as the province won't be reporting those until Tuesday, January 4th.
A dozen deaths on the very first day. There you go.
Meantime,
And what's
police are
interesting,
looking
they're
for
telling
two
us this
men
is
following
January
a fight in a
1st's
parking
numbers.
lot. Police say the call came in around 11:45 this morning, and they say they believe multiple men got into a fight following a crash that occurred.
Well, it
near
wasn't
Richmond
one guy, was it?
Williams Parkway. Constable
A guy got into a fight by himself.
appeared to be stolen.
Further investigation determined that the vehicle that the suspects tried to flee from
It appeared to be stolen. No, he said it is.
in Brampton. At this time, our investigation is ongoing.
Jesus Christ, you're bad at this.
One person was restrained by
You
police.
let white people
They're
pull your
still looking
strings.
for
You
two
let
more
white people pull your
suspects.
strings. You let white people pull your
We're
strings.
nearly a whole day into the new year, and a bunch of babies have already been born. Toronto's first 2020 baby was born at Humber River Hospital
Wait for it.
at midnight. He's a baby.
Midnight is
The doctor
not
who delivered him,
AM
Dr.
or
Leslie
PM. You're born at midnight. You're the last baby of the last year, stupid.
For her.
It started at 7:30 a.m. and finished. Actually, this morning it finished a little bit later, around 9:30 a.m.
26
His
hours.
first baby was born at 12:09 at Trillium Health Partners, a baby boy named Nathan. And York Region's first baby.
You were born at midnight. Guess what? You weren't born in either year.
3:11 a.m. City News Time, 9:38.
Now, City News 680, Year in Review.
Brought to you by
What
the
the
Chesterfield Shop. This is
So they're not going to tell us any of the other stories, apparently. They literally harassed us for exactly 60 minutes while they repeated those stories ad nauseum.
fine in the pandemic. I know we're going to go through it. We're going to come out of it. We're going to get ourselves back to normal. I
Shut
always
up.
have hope. Today's
You don't
definitely a
like
step
that?
in the right
Shut
direction.
up.
82-year-old Dennis arrived at Scarborough Town Center to become one of the first in the city to get the jab, and he pointed out he had a couple of reasons to celebrate.
Your appointment is for Wednesday at 12
I've
o'clock.
lived twice as long as niggers do. I've lived twice as long as niggers do.
Getting vaccinated would finally allow him to see
Well,
family
niggers get
again.
twice as many cases of COVID as everybody else.
ban on flights, and so I can leave the country and go and see my grandkids.
When Toronto's mass
So I
vaccination
could go and see
clinics
these.
opened, they were
Here's
each
Dick get
capable
hard
of
while he was talking.
450 shots a
Wow.
day for a total of 1,350 vaccine doses.
What?
Within months, the city ramped things up to close to 57,000 jabs a day through mass vaccination clinics, along with those at hospitals, mobile and pop-up.
Meanwhile, the Public Health Agency of Canada, the World Health Organization, the United Nations, the People's Liberation Army, and every other fucking group in the world has said you cannot vaccinate yourself out of a pandemic. It's not possible. And don't talk about polio. The U.S. Army building chlorinated water, clean water, potable water is what they say. Well, I guess that's all I got for you, unfortunately. I had more, but I don't fucking care. You see, I don't care. I just wanted to catch this stuff. Also, the world's governments have been regulating AI for decades and decades. That's the 56-minute business report. I don't know if I care enough.